Hey everybody, welcome to Dunkin' Junk Live. Hope everybody's doing good today. We're going to be casting some aluminum honeycomb. So it's been a little while since we did this, and I wanted to do this because I recently got thicker panels. I used to sell the 3/4 inch thick ones for pen blanks, and I didn't love that thickness, but it did save a little bit of money being a little bit cheaper. I think in my mind I was thinking the next size up was an inch, and I found out you can get 7/8, which makes it a little bit better for pen blanks. And so I thought, why not kind of mention that on the stream and we can play around with honeycomb. I've also gotten a few questions from people about aluminum honeycomb casting lately, so I just thought it's kind of timely. So I thought it'd be kind of fun to do today. So sorry for the delay today. I had a couple things. My dad was here, he needed something, and all kinds of things were going on right at the last minute. So I apologize for that. But anyway, I hope you guys are excited to have a little bit of fun with resin. I know that honeycomb's pretty cool because we can get, really creative with colors and do different stuff like that. So I got a couple of different things lined up. So real quick before I kind of stop and see who is here, I'm going to switch to the overhead view and show you what's going on with this honeycomb. So just to start out, what I recommend, and this is what I recommend for the stuff that I sell. There's lots of different brands of honeycomb out there. Other people are selling it. I have no clue how you're supposed to prepare it. But with mine, all that I do is, this is acetone. So I just go down to the Home Depot or wherever and I get some acetone. And which I need some more actually because I had to dump a lot in here. And all I do is I let this stuff soak for about 20-30 minutes. So this stuff has been kind of soaking for a while, and you don't necessarily need to use a lot of acetone if you can get kind of a small enough cup and have skinnier pieces or get kind of a thin tray. I just wanted to show a couple different ways that I do this. And like I said, I just let it soak for a little bit. And what we're doing is, if there's any oils or other weird stuff that's on the surface, we're just cleaning that off. Mainly we just want to get the surface clean. Other people will recommend etching and doing all kinds of different stuff. Frankly, I don't know enough about that. I've always stayed away from it. I kind of personally was like, if I have to etch this and mess around with harsh chemicals, I know acetone's not, like soap or something like that. It's kind of a harsh chemical, but not like acids and things. And I actually did do some testing. The reason that mine works the way that it works, I did a bunch of testing to see if there was one that worked better for resin casting, because I know a lot of people have had bonding issues in the past. I saw people's videos where the resin just literally fell out of it. And so I did a little bit of testing, tried a bunch of different manufacturers out. Not every one on the planet, but just a handful. And there was definitely one that stood out, so I just buy that stuff direct from the manufacturer now, and that way I know what I'm getting. My biggest problem was I didn't want to be in a position where I don't know exactly what I'm buying from somebody, if it's going to change all the time, if I'm going to get different results. That was my biggest thing. So I did this kind of for myself, for my blanks, but the problem is, if you're going to buy directly from the manufacturer, you have to buy huge sheets of it, and this stuff is not cheap. So I decided that I'll just sell the rest. And be able to do it this way. So like I said, with mine, acetone works. I actually tried etching, and I didn't use, I used a couple different types of things like vinegar, and I used some muriatic acid, is that what it's called? I don't know, a couple different types of things, and frankly, they actually made it worse. So I don't recommend doing that with mine. Acetone works, but I do want to say for aluminum honeycomb, it's metal and it's smooth. And so it's really not the best bond. So I want to say that, even the stuff that I have, it works better than the other ones that I tried. It's not a perfect bond with resin, so know that. Just, off the bat, just understand that it's not an amazing bond. And the blanks that you get, if you're going to be machining them, turning them and stuff, you have to be careful. And again, with every mixed material that's not ideal, CA glue is our friend. Just douse it with some CA glue if there are little areas that kind of peeled away. And generally, you shouldn't have any problems. High speeds, generally for like pen blanks, but good speeds, very sharp tools and light cuts, and you should be able to get through it. So just kind of wanted to cover all of those little topics real quick. And let's see here. So who is in the chat? I think Mike was here early, and Gene and Yak's here. What's up, man? Hey, I wanted to ask you, Yak, are you streaming on YouTube? Or are you, because you set up streaming, I think, or are you on Twitch still, or what do you, give me the scoop. I can't remember. Let's see here. So we got Doug over at the Pole Barn Productions. What's up, man? Paul in Vegas. Nice. You're just down south there. Let's see here. Richard's here. Jim Myers. Kim's here. How's it going? Craftsman's Imagination. Let's see. Who else? Joe's here. How's it going? Great break from taxes. Oh, we have to do our taxes still, and I'm not looking forward to it. Are you a tax accountant? That's no fun. Ooh. Hate taxes. David Eisenhower's here. I got your stickers, man. We can put the stickers on tonight. Good thing that I remembered. So David sent some stickers in. So we'll get one of these guys up on the pressure pot. I'm still trying to get my, I'm replacing, oh, I lost it. It like bounced off my desk. I'm still replacing stickers. So I know a lot of people were kind of pissed that the Teespring stickers are super expensive and then they charge you like 10 times as much as the sticker for shipping. So I don't like that either. And I decided I'm going to just go back to buying my own stickers, but I wanted to change the design because those things were kind of getting pretty expensive and they were huge too. And I kind of, you know, if I send this to somebody, it's going to take up like your whole pressure pot, which is neat advertising, but I thought it'd be smarter to get some slightly smaller ones, kind of change that up. So I'm in the middle of updating the design, then I have to order them. So sometime soon I'll be back to trading stickers. And I think what I'm going to do, because I was always terrible at sending them to you guys, I think I'm actually just going to send them to my virtual assistant and have her ship them to you guys. Because honestly, you could wait months before, and I'm bad at it. So we're working on that. We're working on things. Southwest Michigan. How's it going, Gary? That's cool. And who's up in Jay Campbell's in Oregon? Nice. James, welcome to the stream. Awesome. Let's see here. What are we doing? First thing I wanted to do before we move forward. So you guys, if you didn't see last week, we were casting some funky materials, so a little bit of not yarn, but fabrics. So let's see what the results are. And I'll tell you what, these things were not easy to demold. I did get some video of it. I might put some clips on like Facebook or Instagram. But this one came out okay, but you might notice that's not pen blank size. So I wasn't aware of how much I was compressing this thing. And that's all we got out of it. And it probably took me 30 minutes to put this thing together. So just be aware of that. And this is what I've found with micarta. Even with the sheets, it takes forever and you don't really, I always end up with thinner things. So what I think I'm going to do with this is I'm probably going to cut it into pen blank, like 3/4 inch size stuff, but I think I'm going to glue it together and get some pen blanks. You might see kind of a line, but whatever. I just want to turn this and see what it looks like as a pen. So I might make a couple pen blanks. You can make knife scales out of this, no problem, but I'm not a knife maker, so that's kind of useless to me. I want to turn a pen. So I might do that. Here is the round one. So that one actually turned out pretty good. The compression is about where we left it, so you could actually see, and it turned out good. Now this thing, I was worried that it was going to get stuck in the pipe, but it didn't. With deep pour, what I've found is if you give it 5 to 7 days, it demolds way easier. If you try to like the next day, it's not going to come out of the mold. It's still sticky. All right. So we got this guy compressed. It's kind of a cool looking blank. And I think what I'm going to do is make just a small, like kind of bowl, like a little like dish type thing out of it. I don't know what else to make exactly. It's kind of short. This wood goes down to probably about, I don't know, a little further ways in. So I think a little bowl would be kind of cool for this. But it looks neat. I'm excited. And so I also I waited. This thing was really worrying me because it wasn't even budging for a few, for after like the 5th day. But I think we're good now. So I'm just going to pop it. Let's see. I'm going to go get helps to have a little bit of a dowel of some sort to kind of help go, push this stuff out. I think I might switch to the work area view so you can kind of see what I'm doing. So I have this it's a dowel. It helps to kind of get that under, but you can see it's popping right out, no problems. So it's just a matter of waiting. If your blank is stuck, maybe give it another day or so, and it might come out of there. So this one was kind of a messed up deal though. So we didn't pressurize it. And it actually, the way that I did it, it kind of didn't work. Like the clamp fell off and stuff. So we didn't get as good of a clamping or compression on this. And there's like little, I think this one's going to be kind of riddled with like air pockets and stuff. I can feel them all over the place. So we'll have to see how this goes, but I don't know. I don't know that I would recommend doing the pipe. I think that you're better off doing layers and doing it in like a square trough. Now, one other thing I want to mention about how I did that, and everybody was like, oh, you just ruined all your clamps. I did not. They're fine. But I did have to clean up a lot of them. You know, like there was stuff all over the place on them. I don't actually have any examples because I've already been cleaning them. But just be aware of that. I think that, you know, it would have probably been smarter to like have the clamps outside of where, you know, I put it in like kind of a tray. You know, it'd be better to have your clamps outside of that and maybe use a piece of HDPE so that your clamp pad isn't actually touching it. I know Doug does this a lot. You couldn't see it? Did I have it on just work area? I don't know what happened. But here's the pipe. But there's definitely some holes in it and stuff. So I don't know. We'll have to see how this one turns. But yeah, so it was kind of almost a disaster with the clamps. I think that, you know, if I would have put a little bit more thought into how I was setting that up, I think you could get the clamps away from the resin a lot better to where they're not even getting, you know, covered in it. Use like HDPE blocks and stuff like that. And I think you'll probably have a much better time of it. But even if you do get stuff on your clamps, if you can get it soaking in acetone, especially with that deep pour stuff, I mean, it's still like gooey like the next day. So you can get it cleaned up pretty quick. And even if it has fully cured, if you soak it in acetone, it's not going to dissolve it or anything like that, but it should make it easier to clean up. So just to let you know. All right, so this stuff has been soaking for a while, and I think that we're probably pretty good. I'm going to get these little blanks out of the way real quick here, clean up my area, and then we'll get started with some aluminum honeycomb. So you guys know the drill. If you want to pick colors, super chat. You can super chat and pick some colors. So we got a couple of different blanks that we're going to make. I guess let's talk about that real quick here. Get stuff put away. Oh, one other thing I wanted to mention, and this is something I'm going to be investigating a little bit. So this was leftover resin from that micarta pour stuff, and I just poured it into that silicone kind of cake pan thing. And the next day, it was, you know, hard, it was firm, but you could totally just bend it. Like it was just super pliable. Similar to how, if you haven't seen it, check out my video on making ribbons. If you heat up resin, it'll become bendable, right? Well, with deep pour, I mean, you have like 2 days probably where you can shape it and do stuff. So we're going to do something. I don't know if I'm going to just do a video. I might just do that first. That'll allow me to kind of experiment a little bit with it without having to be doing it live. But I might do a video, and then down the road we might do some live streams where we're kind of playing with bending resin, because that's something that a lot of other people, this is not something that I came up with necessarily. Other people are doing it, but I think it'd be pretty fun to kind of play around with. And so I was just kind of testing this, and I think I'm probably going to recast that thing and see what we can get. But, you know, you can get some kind of cool spiral effects, and I don't know, a couple other ideas went through my head when I kind of started playing with that. So pretty cool stuff. I think it'll be kind of fun. So before we get going, first thing I want to do, let's just get this out of the way so I don't forget, because I tend to do that. So again, David sent in a sticker. So why don't we get that on the pressure pot? I'm going to clean it off with a little denatured alcohol so that it'll stay stuck. I don't want it falling off. How about we put it right here? That's a good spot, huh? So you guys can kind of see what I'm doing here. I don't want to move the cameras because they're set up right. Get my fingers in here with gloves on. Oh, look at that. I did it. All right, so here we go. Let's put it right up there. I'm guessing that you're an Oregon Ducks fan, judging by this sticker. I'm gonna give you guys another shot of the sticker because he sent two.
Take my
A super chat. Thanks, Curtis. I appreciate it. You get to pick a color. This one. So this is the sticker. So I'm kind of guessing that he's a Oregon Ducks fan. He's up in Oregon, so not. It's a pretty good assumption here. I think. I think I'm on to something. All right. So I think somebody. Let's see here. Let me scroll up here and see. I think somebody. Oh, okay. That was because he couldn't see it. Okay, so one thing I want to do is just toss a link right off the bat here. We're going to be dropping links here. So there's a link to the honeycomb that I sell. I have 3 different types on my website, so you can check those out. If you want to, let's see here. Oh, how do we send stickers over? Check out my Instagram. It's probably the easiest thing. I don't want to put it all up here. On my Instagram, there's my PO boxes there, so you can send it there. But again, I don't have any stickers, so trade right now for the time being. It'll probably take a while because I got a lot of other things going on besides these stickers. But eventually, I'll be able to trade once I get some more, the design made and then printed. But it's going to take a while. So, but if you want to send a sticker, you can send one to check out my Instagram page, and I think it's like right up in the top of my bio. See here, no to the beavers. Nice. Hold on a minute. What the heck was going on here? Okay, cool. So I don't think I'm missing anything. So let's switch to the overhead view. So we have 3 things that we're going to do. I have 3 ideas here. All right, so we have one that's just going to be a tray of pen blanks, and we're going to use this big piece, and I was thinking we could just get super crazy with colors. And so I think we'll probably do this one first. We'll just put a bunch of colors together. So make sure you guys, if you want to pick some colors, get those super chats rolling. And then I actually have we're going to do another one using the smaller pieces. And actually I wanted to go get some, one of the things that I really like making with honeycomb is a mixture of aluminum honeycomb, like little kind of just chunks of it, just little bits and pieces. And then adding some dye stabilized burl chunks. That's probably one of my favorite blanks to make ever. And then we got a 2" by 2" by 6" or so. And I thought for this one we would go for like the honey dipper look, like the honeycomb look. Richard, nice, thanks for the super chat, buddy. Make sure to pick a color. If the moderators can kind of keep an eye on stuff to remember those colors. But let's see, where's my honey dipper? So Stainless Bottle Stoppers sells honey dippers like a kit. Right? And they have actually a couple different ones. They have this one and they have one that's more just cylindrical. But it's stainless steel, and so it's a kit. And so this one just has yellow dye in it, but I kind of liked it. I made another one that had a little bit slightly darker, like kind of a little bit more honey look, that kind of richer honey, a little bit more gold. And so I thought we could do like a handle blank with like the kind of traditional honeycomb look. Honey. David, thanks for the super chat, buddy. I appreciate it. Check the chickens. Oh, man. Well, you get to pick a color now, too, David. Let's see. Do we have colors yet? So again, guys, for the colors, the first, you guys super chatting, we're going to these are going to be pen blanks, and we're going to do this big panel of it, which I need to probably get this out. Now I've been touching stuff that has stoner on it, the molds and all that stuff, so I'm actually going to switch gloves because I don't really want to touch. The whole point is we don't want stuff that's going to cause a bad bond, right? So I'm going to get some fresh gloves here. And all I do, like I said, we've soaked this. It's probably been about 30 minutes, maybe 20 minutes to 30 minutes. Maybe, I'd say at least 30 minutes probably. And so all I'm going to do at this point is just take it out and dry it off. Now you want to make sure that you've fully dried this stuff off, right? I'm just going to flip it over real quick here. Just kind of dunk it a few times just to kind of make sure. Okay, and then I just plop it there. And then the best thing to do is hit it with some air. And one of the reasons I like acetone is it dries pretty quick. You may be able to get away with something like denatured alcohol, but I don't know if it's as strong necessarily to kind of degrease stuff. I'm not 100% sure. But acetone dries super fast. So at this point, I just have my air hose. Okay, I just blew it off real quick. And then this stuff is pretty much, should be ready to go. If it smells like acetone, obviously there's still acetone on it. It doesn't smell like anything at this point. So what I'm going to do is, now I'm going to pop this into the oven actually and warm it up. Okay, so that's good to go. We're warming that guy up. I'm just going to kind of play with these guys and dunk them a little bit because they're pretty much ready at this point. Okay. I'm going to kind of just move these around. I'm going to end up causing a mess. What ends up happening is acetone kind of gets stuck in the cells. And so if you're doing it vertically like this, you end up making a mess everywhere because it drips out. But if you do it flat, you don't have as much of that problem. Okay. And one of the things that I like to do is to kind of like dunk it, like, you know, get that stuff sloshing around, especially with this 2-inch stuff. Make sure you've given it a good sloshing around so that it's kind of, you know, penetrating down in there and getting any areas. Just try to give it a good washing. Good as you can. But again, keep in mind, you know, this is not a perfect material. This is, no matter what you do, even the people that say that acid etching is the way to do it, they even say, oh, you're probably going to run into a couple, you know, there may be a couple little areas. So there's just no perfect way to make resin want to stick to acetone. There's not a good way to do that, really. So I do want to caution you about that, but I've actually never had anything super just blow up on me. As long as you take as many precautions, you know, wash it off and do all that kind of stuff up front, you've set yourself up for a win. You know, you've stacked the cards in your favor, let's say. If you do all that kind of stuff, then, you know, you just need to make sure that if it's like a pen blank, you know, one thing, don't overheat it when you're drilling. You know, take light cuts when you're drilling out the center. Creating too much heat could debond a place that had where the resin did bond to the cell or the honeycomb. If it gets too hot, that could make it kind of pop off. You know, you don't want to overheat it drilling or doing anything. And then when you're turning, you know, just make sure that you're taking light cuts and doing all that stuff. Stack the cards in your favor as many places as you can, and then you should be fine. And then one other trick, when you're making pen blanks, you know, you drill out the center of a blank. One thing that I think, and I swear this is one of the reasons why I'm able to get through a lot of tough pen blanks, is I douse the inside with the super thin CA. And that way, if there's any areas that are bad bonds between the material and the resin, that CA glue is kind of gluing it together again for you, filling those gaps, right? So I think that is a super important step. And then while you're turning it, pull out some more CA glue. That stuff's cheap, you know. Douse it a couple times. Just make sure that you've gotten everything, you know, stack the cards in your favor as many ways as you can, and you should be fine. All right, so with all that said, the volume was turned down. Oh no. Oh man. See, I'm just making sure. Curtis says Pearl Root Beer Brown. Okay. And that one's actually just a, what do I use? I think I use, because I actually have like a root beer blank. What's it called? Chocolate. Pretty sure I just used chocolate from Caster's Choice, and I think another good one would be hot chocolate from P-Town. Either way, those are both really good colors. In fact, they might actually be exactly the same color, frankly. So I got a bigger jar of the P-Town, so let's just go with that. So we got that, and then let's see here. Gallon of resin. Nice. Did we have, so we had, let's see here. David Eisenhower, we need a color from you, and same with Curtis. So again, we're going to be doing the big brick of pen blanks on this one. So let me get this stuff out of the way. Let's get some resin. So for these molds, these are my 6 pen blank molds. They take about 540 grams of resin. They're about a 5 by 6, 5 inch by 6 inch. So let's see here. Let's get the overhead view going real quick. Fluorescent green. Ooh. All right, so I got my little thing here. So the number one we're doing, let's see here. The date is 3/31. Don't forget, guys, the first Friday of the month is coming up on this Friday. And we're going to be doing some interesting stuff with Easter pasta, some of the stuff that Ann sent in. I thought it'd be kind of fun. It'll be, just right before Easter. So it's not like we're going to be making blanks for Easter. But I had a couple ideas with that pasta that I think might work a little bit better to actually utilize it for its shapes. So that's what we're going to be doing for the patron stream. So if you want to help support the show over on Patreon, get access to those live demos every month, as well as the Q&A, where I'm focused on the chat, answering your questions for resin casting or whatever it may be. Head over to patreon.com/NVWoodworks. All right, so here we go. We got the overhead view, 331. We're doing aluminum honeycomb. Number 1, pen blanks. Full sheet. And the one that we're going to be using, so we're doing this just kind of a full sheet. This is the 1/4 inch cell, and it's, again, this is the new size. It's I used to sell 3/4 inch thick, now it's 7/8, okay? So that's the one that we're going to be doing, full sheet of 1/4 inch, 7/8. So we need 540 grams total, and we have 3 colors so far. I think we're going to go with here. We get a color from Curtis yet? He's still here? So we got, let's see here, we got root beer, pearl. And I'm going to be using this again. This is hot chocolate from P-Town. We're going with some fluorescent green. So what I use for that is Alumilite's got this fluorescent green dye. That should work. The other way to go, actually, I'm going to throw it to you, David. Do you want key lime green? Because I actually think that might be a good way to go on this. Or do you want the fluorescent green? It's going to be a little different. This one's not going to be very opaque. It's going to be kind of translucent. Richard, let's see here. Wait, so who was Curtis the brown? Dude. Oh, Curtis wanted brown. Okay, so Curtis wants brown. And then Richard wants, okay, I'm getting all confused. Sorry, guys. Richard wants a purple. So do you want like a solid color purple? Do you want a pearl? We got lots of purples, guys. Lots of purples. key lime for sure. Nice. Key lime. Okay, that's a good one. And so this is the Divine Pigments. Braxton Frankenberry's pigments. They're pretty good. I need to replace my all my bottles. They got the new bottles with the twist thing. Oh my God, way better, guys. So these things are super messy, these old ones. So they changed their bottle style, and actually Alumilite did too. So everybody's using the good ones. And let's see here, Pearl. Why don't we go with Doug Crazy? That's always a crowd favorite. Let's see, where'd it go? The Plum Crazy. Here we go. What do you think of that? It's kind of Joker-ish. We got some purple and green and brown. All right, so if anybody wants to get in on the colors, now is the time, and then I'll close it off. And I might pick a couple colors myself. Actually, I'm gonna throw it out there. So Doug is one of our what are you guys called? He's an admin or whatever. What does the wrench mean? I can't think of the word. But anyway, why don't you pick a color, Doug? We already did Doug Crazy, so sorry about that. But pick a color, Doug. Can't think of the word. Moderator. He's a moderator. We'll give him a color. Chula, well, thanks for stopping by. I'm glad you came. We're just having a little bit of fun. So we're going to be casting this this panel of honeycomb in, and we're going to make some pen blanks. So we got our mold ready. It's nice and warm. I'm going to drop it in there, and we're just going to add some colors. I'm going to go get a drink real quick while we're waiting. So I'm going to wait for Doug to pick a color, and then we're going to close it. Doug's a moderator. What did I did? Pick a color, Doug. We've got, so far we've got, we already got Plum Crazy going, but we got key lime and we got like a root beer brown. And then I'm going to pick a color, I think, because I wanted to get lots of color in here. But I'm going to give the Super Chatters the first dibs. I'm trying to think if there's any other news and fun stuff there. Not really, I haven't been doing a whole lot. Been testing and doing some weird stuff, but mostly just kind of trying to keep up on inventory. Blood red. Joel's in on it for yellow. Woo! Which kind of yellow do you want? Blood red. Let's see here. All right, we got some blood red going. That's a good color. So I got tons of yellows. We got, the canary yellow. It's like just kind of true yellow. We got daisy yellow. It's a little bit lighter. We've got neon yellow, which I think that's kind of like daisy yellow, honestly. And then we have, what is this one? Sunny yellow for dye, if you wanted that. We got all kinds of different yellows, so let me know. $19.99. Holy cow, Joel. Pick two colors. You get two colors, Joel. Kim's Aliens. Yeah, it happened. So Artcraft, it turns pretty good. I mean, it's like every other honeycomb out there. You got to be careful when you're turning something like this. The bond between resin and smooth aluminum, not good. But the stuff, I did testing and found one that works pretty good. It's the best bond that I could find out of all the brands that I tried. And so as long as you're, diligent, you clean it off, and you're careful when you're preparing it and machining it, then I've never had any problems. I've never had a blank blow up on me, just in my face or anything like that. You get like slight little chips and things here and there that you can just fill with CA glue, like on a pen blank. But you just got to be kind of careful and take precautionary steps before you are messing with it. I like to douse it with CA glue first. If there are any little gaps or anything like that, just hit it with CA glue and light cuts, sharp tools, and you should be good. Yeah, Wednesdays at 3 p.m. Pacific time is when I do the streams. Make sure to follow me on Instagram and Facebook. I always say when I'm put out a reminder, and sometimes on the weekends I may just pop on. So make sure that you hit the subscribe button and the notification bell on YouTube, number one, and then if you want kind of a little bit of like a heads up, that's social media definitely. All right, so did Joel pick colors? We're waiting. You get another color, Joel, if you want. We got purple. Sorry, I know that this is the problem with live streaming and waiting for the chat to pick colors, because I say something, we got to wait 30 seconds, and then you know how it goes, guys. So plum crazy. So let's just talk about what I'm going to do here. So we got 540 grams. We've got yellow, canary. You get to pick another color too, Joel. So if you want something else, let me know. We got a yellow, so the canary yellow will work. Let's see. So we're gonna have 5 colors. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever this one's gonna be. So let me see how much. We're just gonna split it up evenly. That's fine. 540 divided by 1, 2, 5. It's around 108. It's 108 grams each. And let's see here. I think we can do, I'm going to do about, let's see, I'm doing pen blanks, the first one. So let's do a 1/4 teaspoon of each of the powders. Key lime, we'll put in about 2%. I'll tell you what the grams are actually, because I usually I do it weird. Hot pink. True. Yeah, you shouldn't have a black screen. We got. I know nothing's happening, but it shouldn't be black. That'll be a problem on your computer, unless I'm mistaken. All right. So while we're waiting, let's get some resin mixing. I'm going to try out my new mountain cups. They just seem pretty good. I don't know. Digging them. I think TCP is sending me another set of them out. I might be getting their 10-gallon pressure pot too, by the way, guys. Casey already got one, and it is a monster. It's not just like a taller 5-gallon pressure pot. It is a 10-gallon pressure pot with like wider and taller. So I'm hoping that they send me one too. They're gonna send me something, I think. So I'll let you guys know. So what we're doing here is 270 part A. So let me switch to this other view real quick. Trying to keep an eye on the thing for Joel. So what we're doing here is that mold holds 540 grams total. So I'm going to put 270 grams of part A, 270 grams of part B, and we're using Alumilite Clear Slow. It's a urethane resin. It is a by weight measurement. So that's why I'm weighing all this stuff out. So it's a 1-to-1 mixture. Beautiful thing. We need 270 grams of our part A. So let's see where we're at here. 207. Baby girl pink. Woo! We got that. We got that. Do you know this color? Because there literally is a baby girl pink. Very specific. You must know it. You must know the P-Town colors. 268. 270. Okay, I'm going to zero that out. We'll get 270 of the part B. Okay. 257. We're getting there, guys. We're getting there. $269. There we go, 270. Okay. So here we go. Re-pink my hair. Yeah. What I do, the best way to go is, so if you clean them right away while the resin was still wet, you could clean them with acetone and it would work. What I think is a better way to go and less messy is just let the stuff skin up in your cup, leave it sit overnight, and then the next day come out and just peel it out. But some cups break a lot if you're doing it that way, so you got to kind of watch out. These new mountain ones, I got these on Amazon, and it should be the same link. I think I have a link to these possibly on my tools I use page, nvwoodworks.com/tools. But on Amazon, if you can find Mountain brand, these work pretty good. Home Depot ones are pretty soft. They don't tend to break, crack. And I'll show you when I get done with this pour what I'm talking about a little bit, because I got a few cups that have resin in them. Hopefully I won't break the cups. They've been sitting for a while. That's the easiest way. Just let it harden and then just pop it off the non-stick surface and reuse it, and you're good. Now, if you're using like, Dixie cups, these things, you're done, because the material, it's not going to unstick. You got to be using an HDPE, a polyethylene type cup material, which is non-stick. This might be some other, there may be some other types of, let's see, how much, 108? There may be other plastic brand formulas that are kind of non-stick, but I think most of these things are polyethylene, like the molds, HDPE. Pretty non-stick stuff. All right, so I'm just gonna get about 100 grams in here. Use it. Oh, I think I went over. That's 110. So we'll just go under. Won't put as much in the rest. So I'm just gonna kind of line these guys up. You can see what I'm doing from the side there. Kind of eyeball it. I don't really care if these are all even. Doesn't really matter that much in general. Okay. Now with one of these, I'm going to put this on the scale and I'm going to use, let's see here. We're going to put basically 1%. Oops, that's not how you do it. Let me zero this. I should have had the cup on here. Wasn't thinking here. So let me zero it out with a cup. Find out how much resin we have, 108. So I want to put about, well, let's see, 108. Yeah, so one gram of, not the fluorescent dye, key lime. We're going to use the Divine. So I like to measure, if you want to get the same colors, especially if you're mixing colors, I like to use weight measurements for dyes. Then I use the little teaspoons. You don't have to be this crazy about stuff, but if you want hyper repeatability, guaranteed repeatability, then being more accurate is always better. So here's this stuff. Man, look at that. I love the Divine Pigments key lime. It's one of the best. You can get these things at Turner's Warehouse. I know I saw somebody was talking about liquid diamonds. If you want to pick up resin, Turner's Warehouse has liquid diamonds too. And if you use my affiliate link, I even get a little kickback. Win-win. Okay, so now I got a 1/4 teaspoon. That's how I usually do my powders. A lot of times with powders, it doesn't matter if you're super, super accurate. You know, powders don't necessarily need super accuracy necessarily, but if you're mixing colors, you know, making your own kind of custom colors, then you need to be extremely accurate with your measurements if you want to get repeatability, right? You get some really cool, you know, you're matching some color and you totally nail that color, then you want to be able to repeat it, right? So that's where, you know, being extremely accurate is where you want to be. In general, though, with micas, this is why I always tell people that are brand new, micas are probably the easiest way to go. If you're getting into, you want to start making some pen blanks or whatever, mica powders are the easiest things to work with because they don't really, you can't add too much necessarily. Sometimes you could maybe add not enough to pen blanks, I guess, but pretty hard to screw up, and there's almost no color combination. I still have not found a color combination of 2 or 3, you know, or whatever, mica powders that I was like, wow, that's horrible. Doesn't really matter what you do. Micas turn out pretty good usually. All right, so we're mixing this stuff up. I'll mix it in well, obviously. I like to sometimes kind of break it up a little bit just to, so it's not just a big clump that you're kind of shoving down into the resin. Always scraping the sides and everything, you know, those clumps out. This is going to be a pretty crazy color combo, I think, guys. In some honeycomb. Where are we at here? So what's happening in the chat? Yeah, liquid diamonds, it can go fairly thick, but yeah, you can't do nearly the types of things like Alumilite clear slow, for instance, or even like the deep pour. Deep pour can't be poured in gigantic masses, though. I mean, it's good for like, you know, two or maybe 3 inches thick, but not like a big mass of it, like a bowling ball, which I found out. You can't make a 10 by 10 by 10 cube with deep pour. It doesn't work. All right, so we got our 5 colors. I like to kind of mix them up pretty good and then go back and just make sure, you know, what ends up happening is you might have, if there's any like unmixed stuff that didn't really get mixed into the resin, it usually ends up floating to the surface in your cup. So you can kind of see which ones need a little bit more mixing in with your micas. Here we go. Baby girl pink. This one's crazy. That is one wild color. You guys see that? Wicked. Okay, so let's see what temperature we're at. If you're mixing colors, you want to wait till the end of the working time. However, in this case with the aluminum honeycomb, I don't recommend waiting too long. I would rather have a little bit of color bleed and have that resin be a little bit thinner to kind of flow around into those cells. I think that's a better way to go. So I typically would pour color swirls at about 95 to 97 degrees Fahrenheit. We're at about 91 right now, I think. Let's see here. 91.5. I'm going to probably wait till 93 and then we're going to pour. I'd rather be on the lower end of this because the hotter that it gets, the more thick it gets and the harder it's going to be to flow into your honeycomb. All right, so I think we're pretty close now. 93 is my number that I'm shooting for here. We're there. So can you guys see what I'm doing? Let's get this up a little bit. I'm just going to kind of, and I like to pour the resin in first and then push my thing down. Now this is going to cause, you know, it's going to push the colors around in here. So just be warned if you're going to do it this way. I think that pouring it on top, you have a much higher chance of trapping air. down into the cells, which definitely is going to cause gaps and issues with the bond. Okay, so I'd prefer, I'm always trying to stack the cards in my favor to get the best bonds with my resins rather than looks in some cases. If all we were doing was pouring color swirl pen blanks, then of course I'm going to, wait for the proper time and try to get, the best separation possible of these colors. But when you start adding honeycomb or some other material that's not going to give you the best bond, then you got to start thinking about how can I increase the bond the best, yet still have, nice looking blanks. This is what I typically would do. An easy way to go is just to go with like one color. So we're going to make a handle that just has like kind of a honey amber color. So in that case, it doesn't matter, you're not mixing this stuff around. But I also will say, we are going to be mixing these colors around a bit, but you get some pretty cool looking stuff going on. So, as long as you wait long enough and then, you're kind of just like let it kind of sink down in, you get some pretty cool looks in your blanks. All right, so now, moment of truth. Hopefully that fits. You got to always make sure that it fits. And I just let it sink down in. And then it goes poosh. Isn't that cool? It's so fun. And then pressurize it. Into the pressure pot we go. Easy peasy. Now, one pro tip for you guys who may have a saw stop, make sure to turn the brake off if you're cutting up a batch of these things or cutting a blank in half or anything, cutting aluminum, because it will trip your brake. Don't ask me how I know. Twice. All right, and then I like to wipe off my HDPE stir sticks so that I can use them again, and then I'll hit it with a little bit of acetone just to make sure, if there was any dye or, whatever on there. That it's off, and this stir stick will be ready to go next time. Now, I promised I was going to show you how I deal with reusing cups. Why don't we do that real quick? So this cup now, I use this to mix it up, right? What I'm going to do is I actually just put it back up on up here. I just leave them sit, and I'm going to let that harden. So now what I have, and I guess I'll switch to this view. Let's see, what does the work area one look like? Do this one. So what I do, I got a hardened bit of resin in there. And so it might take a little bit of, knocking around. Depends on how many times you've used the cup, what type of cup it is, all that stuff. What type of resin sometimes makes a difference. But Alumilite clear, slow set, generally pops off quite well. Oh, see, I cracked this a little bit, but that'll be okay. You got to be kind of careful, but we got it. It's reusable, and we're ready to go. Okay, so let's see here. The next one, let's do the big handle. Let me stop real quick and see what you guys... Only wood turner that has a pink mohawk. Hey, you got to claim it and own it. I'm telling you. Doug's got a furry bikini top. Oh no. Not that, man, not that. I'm just scrolling up here. Yeah, if you're using, so that's the nice thing. This is one of the reasons why I really like Alumilite Clear Slow. It's like the perfect time. For most of what I do, I'm going to be mixing colors together and doing stuff, and I'm using like glitters and things. We did the shamrocks. I really don't want to be sitting waiting for a resin that has like a 30 to 40 minute working time. You'd have to mix it up and literally walk away and then come back in like 40 minutes to be ready to pour colors together. So that's why I think it's a pretty good, balance between, it is pretty quick, 12 minutes. That's kind of the working time for Alumilite Clear Slow. 12 minutes, you know, I mean, if you're doing complicated stuff, especially like in the summer when it warms up, you have less time. But I find 12 minutes is doable. Like for the most part, I'm usually kind of like ready to pour, you know, maybe wait a few minutes and then I can pour my colors and keep them separated. And so that's one of the reasons why I really like that resin specifically for most of what I do. Plus it allows me to pour gigantic 5-gallon buckets of it all at once and all that stuff. But, you know, it is more temperamental with moisture. That's the drawback to it. And then, you know, you need to use a pressure pot with it, which frankly, I think that pressure pots are the way to go no matter what you're doing personally. You're just going to get better results, less air bubbles overall. So I don't think that that's a drawback particularly because I would use it no matter what. But for some people that don't want to mess with it, then that's a drawback. So anyway, just wanted to share my 2 cents on that, I guess. All right, so let's see here. Yeah, depending on what's going on with the cups, sometimes I'll just kind of toss them. But if I can get it clean, the one thing that I will say about the cleaning the cup out thing, if you're doing things that are like, you know, like let's say you're making like resin spheres or like an X-wing hybrid sphere where it has to be dead clear in there, I don't recommend using a cleaned or a reused cup. I'd go get a new one just to make sure. You don't want little bits of stuff floating around in that clear. It can ruin the entire blank. So that's one area where I wouldn't mess around with the reused one. But as long as the cup's intact, then you're good to go, you know. Should be good. All right, let's see. Okay. All right, so the next thing we're going to do here is we're going to make a handle. Now I made a honey. I want to look something up, guys. And I apologize for not doing this earlier. I wish I would have, but I kind of got here late too. So it's been one of those days. Let me look something up real quick here. And what I want to find is I had a good recipe for just the epitome of honey look. And so what I want to do is see if I can find, I'm actually going to go to this other, the reason I use this digital pen is so that I can, you know, look up stuff. Oh, come on. Let me see if I can find that note in just a couple seconds here. If not, then I'm pretty sure I remember what I did, pretty much. I'd have to look a couple different ways. Let me look for dipper. See, this is the problem, is if I don't know what keyword research or keyword to look for, you're screwed. Yeah, silicone cups could be if it's rigid enough. I find that floppy cups are just a pain. I don't like them. But that's a good way to go. Silicone. I mean, it just pops right off at that point. Well, that's useless. Some days I don't do myself justice with my notes. I'm like, amber color. What does that mean? Thanks, Zach. That's what happens. Knew I should have looked this up. Oh, here we go. Ah, here we go. Found it, guys. Okay. And that was which one? Yep. Okay. So let's see here. So number 2, let's get some notes going on here. Yeah, that's another problem. I was looking at silicone cups and they don't have big ones. Well, 750 is big enough. That's fine. That's like this, because those other things are, they're like, you know, like a quart, which is 6 or 7, maybe 900 milliliters. 750 is pretty good. But yeah, you're not going to be mixing a gigantic bucket of it. I don't think I would recommend that one. Okay, so number 2, we're going to do amber handle, let's just call it. So we're just doing a single color. It's going to be totally transparent, and we're going to be casting this in my 2-inch handle blank mold. It's 2-inch by 2-inch square. That thing seems hot. 2-inch by 2-inch. I gotta turn my oven down. This stupid thing. It's always fluctuating. And then it's about 6.5 long, maybe something like that. 6.5, I think. So, and that mold, I want to say that mold holds about 450 grams. I always forget, but that's 225 times 2, and then we're going to add. I have this custom dye that's like a yellow with some orange. It's like a yellow and orange dye mix. And so that's what I was looking up. I needed to figure out how many drops I typically do. So it looks like 10 drops should give us a pretty good color. So you could probably, I don't know what the mixture is on this one off the top of my head, but I want to say that you could probably put, I don't know, 10 drops of just Alumilite's yellow, and then like maybe 1 drop of orange, and I think you might be pretty close. It might be kind of a little bit more orange than anything. One way to do this also is you could just keep on adding, you know, yellow, and then just grab a toothpick and just kind of add a little bit of orange here and there until whatever's in the cup is that kind of amber color you want. All right, so let's see here. In fact, why don't we do it that way? Let me just give you guys a better example. That's a custom mixture that I'm not going to share with you guys. So let's try that. We're going to add 10 drops of yellow, Alumilite's yellow dye. And then I'm going to kind of sneak up on using the toothpick method and orange. Now, it may be a little bit tough to repeat this, doing it this way, but it'll be okay. Who knows? We may nail it right off the bat. So we're using my 2-inch mold, and we're using slow set clear. Actually, let's go with epoxy on this one, because I'm actually running a little bit low on Alumilite clear. Let's go with Amazing Clear Cast. I need to kind of use this stuff up anyway. So now this is an example where you can use a 40-minute. Oh, is this deep pour? No, this is, yeah, Amazing Clear Cast Plus. You can use something that has a really long open time, and I don't really care because I'm just going to pour it right away. We're putting a dye in, and there's no reason to wait, right? If there's just one color in there or it's clear, then just pour it right away and stick your honeycomb in. Okay? So we're going to go ACC Plus. And this is an epoxy. This is Alumilite's epoxy in the Plus, the Amazing Clear Cast Plus part. It has UV stabilizers in it. So if you're doing something that's clear, that's a good formula to go with to make sure that it stays clear and doesn't yellow. Now in this case, we don't really need that because we're making the resin yellow. But I don't have any regular Amazing Clear Cast on hand. Now, Amazing Clear Cast Plus and their regular one, this is a 1-to-1 mixture by volume, okay? So you don't want to use a scale when you're using Amazing Clear Cast Plus, Amazing Clear Cast, or Amazing Deep Pour, any of those. They're a volume mixture. Alumilite Clear and Clear Slow, those are weight, okay? So when you're doing volume, and we need a 400 grams, so we're just going to go with, in fact, I'm going to use that cup that I just kind of cleaned out. That should work okay. When you're doing that, you want to use a graduated, which camera are we on? You want to use a graduated cup, and then, you know, in this case, we're going to pour equal amounts, a 1-to-1 ratio, so whatever that may be. So what I've found is I typically in my brain am thinking, because I use Alumilite Clear Slow the most, I'm usually thinking in terms of weights, but you can kind of, you know, if you're very familiar with how much weight, how many grams of resin you need, then it should be about the same as your milliliters. Okay, that's what I've found. It's pretty close. So good little. Yeah, I'm not going to give you any of my dye secrets. Sorry, guys. That took me years to figure out all those things. And frankly, here's the thing: is my dyes, you know, like the like team color, you know, dye recipes, they don't work in clear resin anyway. They're not meant for that. They're meant for Alumilite white, which is an opaque resin. So even if I told you what mine are, it wouldn't do anything good for you. So sorry. Okay, so I'm going to put, let's see here, we needed 450 grams. So let's just go with, I'm just going to mix up 500. I think that'll be fine. I might have a little extra, but we can pour that into like a PVC pipe or something else. There's extra. So let me get a little strip of paper or whatever. That's not the right one. So you can kind of see what I'm doing. I take these Scott towels and just kind of rip them into little rag things so I can clean up messes and wipe off bottles and stuff. Okay, so we need 250. And this stuff's pretty thick. I mean, this is like honey. That's another thing that I like about Alumilite Clear Slow. Pretty thin viscosity. Nice one. Okay. 250, and I'm going to get down at the level of that line and just make sure that I'm on that line. And I am. We got our part A. Put our part B in there. Part B, 500. So I'm adding 250. Again, it's a 1-to-1, but I'm shooting for that 500 mark. We already had 250 of the part A, so go up. And don't hesitate to, you know, grab a Sharpie and put marks on your cup, like you know, extra marks to kind of guide you on if you're doing this kind of thing. It's never a bad idea, you know, to take whatever things that you can do to make sure you don't mess up, then do it, you know. So, you know, and I usually actually do that, but I just kind of forgot this time. But, you know, you don't want to throw off your ratio because you were not paying attention. Cheat sheets. Cheat sheets are always good. Like I said, this stuff's pretty thick. That's one thing I don't really like about it. You can't pour this in gigantic masses. It's fine for these 2-inch kind of handle size blanks, but I don't know how much more mass you could pour Amazing Clear Cast. It's really meant to be a bar top coat, so like really meant to be poured in pretty thin, you know, applications, but also generally a lot more of it, like a tabletop kind of thing, bar top. But they work good for pen blanks and, you know, the handle size stuff. Small bowls, it'll probably work fine without overheating. But that's the problem, is your resins create heat when they cure. And some formulas are meant, you know, like they're created to be, you know, cast in not a giant mass of resin. And so when you have a giant mass of it, it creates even more heat and ends up overheating if it gets too hot, and then cracking and yellowing and turning into yuck, basically. It's kind of not necessarily totally ruined, but not what you were going for, most likely, you know. So make sure that if you're going for something really big, if you're making a river table and you want to just pour this thick 2-inch thing, then I would recommend going with something like Stone Coat or the Deep Pour from Alumilite. Something meant for river tables. It can handle a little bit of thickness and a large mass of it. Formulated to not get super hot, basically. If you're going for something very small, then you want to have a resin that can get warmer to generate enough heat to cure. Not a great idea necessarily to pick certain resins that don't heat up, you know. If you ever have questions about which resin you should use for a certain type of, you know, if you're going to be doing certain types of resin casting, I would just contact the manufacturer, you know, and talk to them. They should have, a good manufacturer should have technical support that can help you choose a resin that will work best for your particular application. Or, you know, if you don't want to have to do that and talk to them and all that, just use something that a lot of people use for that, you know, purpose. You know, it's much easier to just kind of go on something that's already been, you know, proven reliable by other people than trying to reinvent the wheel yourself. Would that one be good for covering a painting? Yeah, it would be pretty good. Supposedly there are resins, like there's the art resin, supposedly claims that it will not yellow. I don't know if that's true or not, but that one may be better for that kind of thing over the like super long term, maybe. But Alumilite developed this specifically for, I mean, it's pretty heavily laden with UV inhibitors. And so, like I said, the problem is these companies, nobody that I know knows the difference, you know, between one company's claim to UV, you know, protection versus another. Like you can't, there's no data, there's no testing or anything like that. So as far as I know, this one is one of the best. That's what they claim, at least, for UV inhibition. So it would be a good choice. But I don't know if there's something to art resins claim to never yellow. I don't know if that's, you know, the reason I don't usually bring up art resin. I've tried it and it's really soft. So I don't really think it's a great resin to be turning and machining with necessarily, because it won't polish that well. But for document saving and all that kind of stuff, it might not be a bad choice to go with. If their claims are true. I don't know. That's the thing. A lot of people I've talked to say that there is no way to make a resin that does not yellow, like will never yellow. So I don't know who's, you can't trust anybody. Trust no one. The truth is not out there. All right, so I think this is pretty well mixed. Again, you have like 40 minutes of working time. That is nice. Some people appreciate that. They don't work as fast as I have gotten used to, you know, just making pen blanks and doing that. But I'll tell you what, we would have already had this thing in the pressure pot if I was using slow set. You know, because just the mixing of it doesn't take as long. But you want to make sure that you've mixed properly. That's one of the major problems people run into is they think it's okay, good enough. I mixed it for a minute or so. And the truth is you didn't really mix it up well, and you have curing problems or weird areas that weren't, you know, fully mixed together, and they don't really cure basically. So just make sure you give it a good amount of time. You got 40 minutes, you know, give it that 40 minutes and let it go. All right, so we're going to add I'm going to go with 10 drops of yellow. And again, this is Alumilite's dyes. These are totally transparent dye. Alumilite has transparent ones. If you want stuff that is opaque, then I would recommend going with the Divine pigments. Most of those are pretty much totally opaque. So this is going to give us the effect of like stained glass, basically. I'm talking dead transparent. It's not going to, no matter how much I add to this, it's not going to get, I forget, I lost count. 5, 6, I think, 7, 8, 9. We're doing 10 drops of yellow. 1 drop would have made it yellow, you know, frankly. And one thing to say is Alumilite dyes compared to alcohol inks, Alumilite dyes are highly, highly concentrated compared to alcohol inks. Okay, so frankly, alcohol inks have some advantages. One of the nice things is there's lots of different colors, like shades, that you can get straight out of the bottle, but you could dump a whole bottle in this and it would be no different at all. it's never really going to get super saturated with color, you know. So it's kind of nice, but at the same time, you can also just put like a little toothpick amount of Alumilite dye. It'll go like 10 times as far because it's super concentrated. All right, so now this kind of looks like it's sort of opaque-ish, but it's just because there's lots of air bubbles in there. All right, so now we got yellow. We got that yellowed pretty well, so let's go for some orange. I think somebody mentioned you could put a little bit of brown in there. That might work. I've gotten really good for the amber color that I want. It was a mixture of orange and yellow, and again, using just Alumilite's dyes. So what I'm going to do is I have literally a toothpick, and we're just going to put a little pinprick of orange on here. Orange is kind of, it seems like it's even more concentrated than other ones sometimes. So you don't really need a lot. Like I said, Alumilite dyes are super concentrated. A little bit goes a long way. Ooh, that's looking pretty good right there. What do you think of that? I mean, that looks like a pot of honey. Maybe a little bit more. We could maybe go a little bit more. I don't know. It might make it too orange. I think that's looking pretty good. One little pinprick. Depends on what. There's lots of shades of honey. If you're making pen blanks, one thing to think about, if you have a giant cup of resin, that's not going to be very representative of what that color looks like after you've drilled out and then turned down the pen blank. So a better representation would be to pull out a little bit of resin and look on the stick. That's going to be the shade that it's going to be. Now in this case, it's going to be a handle or maybe like a bottle stopper or something where you're going to leave a pretty good amount, a thickness to it. So what's in the cup is somewhat representative of what you're getting. Now I think I want to add one more little pinprick. I think I want to go a little darker on this one. Hopefully I don't overdo it. This is where, like I said, being super concentrated can kind of be tough. It can kind of be hard to, you can overshoot it, let's just say, pretty easily sometimes. Let's see what we got. Ooh, that's pretty good. That's pretty rich right there. What do you think of that? So just a little bit of orange, a little bit of yellow. Yeah, Doug, I could have added 1,000 yellow drops and it wouldn't have made it any darker. Alumilite doesn't really get dark. I mean, maybe if I added like half a bottle of it, but that's ridiculous. Better to just alter the colors, you know, by adding something, you know, slightly different. Yeah, that's pretty good, I think. I mean, I could maybe add one more. See, this is where you run into problems, though. It looks pretty good, and you're like, oh, just a little bit more. I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, I think that's good. I think we're going to leave it. I think that's going to be good. That's what I want. Okay, so I'm going to put the lid on this. That out of my way. Pull our thingamajig out. And so once again, this one's super easy. All we're going to do, we're going to pour the resin in. Look at how, oh, that is honey. That is some honey right there. Actually, 500 grams was pretty close, actually. I really need to alter my perception of this mold. Because I'm always like, oh, I think it's 450, and I'm always a little bit low, I think. So, I forgot to put this in the oven, but it should be fine. Now, this stuff is pretty thick, so I'm going to probably have to kind of help it down in there a bit. Maybe shouldn't have poured so much into the mold. Might get messy. The reason I do this, pushing the honeycomb down in, is because the air in the cells won't get trapped. If you just stick this thing into the mold, there's a likelihood if you just pour resin over it that you're going to get air pockets in there. And the problem is if it's like a void, the pressure pot can't do anything about that. All the pressure pot can do is collapse a bubble. It has to be in a bubble form, right? So that's why I'd rather push things like this down in so that you're not trapping air that's already in that cell. It's basically, the resin is forcing the air in the cell just out, up and out of the cell. There we go. But all these little bubbles, the pressure pot will knock them out. It'll just laugh at them. It'll be like, get out of my face, bubble. That's what the pressure pot does. All right, so that's all we got. Now we're ready to put it in the pressure pot. Easy peasy. And so let's talk about how long you need to leave these guys in the pressure pots. All right, so Alumilite clears slow. That was the one that we did the first time with the pen blanks. That's the one that has the shorter working time, 12 minutes of working time. And it will need to stay in the pressure pot. So for that thick of a mass, that much resin, for anybody that doesn't know which one it was this size. So about 540 grams, about an inch thick, 5 by 6. You could probably pull that in let's just say you can pull it in 2 hours for sure. Realistically, you could probably even pull it in an hour, but just for the safe side, 2 hours. Now that amazing clear cast, that stuff, again, so that's the one that has the 45-minute working time. That stuff you're going to need to leave in overnight, like probably 9 to 12 hours minimum. With something that size, it'll probably be fine, like just overnight type deal. But it's going to take longer. And the thing is, if you pull it too soon, if the resin hasn't set up and like fully set up basically and hardened, what can happen is you introduce pressure and those air bubbles just come right back. So you got to make sure that this is a case where you can pull it too early, but you're not going to hurt anything by leaving it in longer, right? That's not going to do anything. That's just going to ensure that you didn't pull it too soon. So typically, if you're looking at resins, the demold time is typically the number that kind of corresponds to how long to keep it in the pressure pot. So just be aware of that. Now that kind of can fluctuate. If I poured a tiny, like a dice or something like that mold, that's going to make you have to keep it in the pressure pot a lot longer, again, because it's not heating up, it's not curing, and you're going to have to give it a lot longer time under pressure for it to fully harden. If you're pouring a gigantic mass of something, in the case of Alumilite clears slow, and you're pouring like a big bucket of it all at once, I mean, you could probably pull it in 30 minutes, no problem. And it'll be hard enough to pull it out. But I always recommend, whatever the lowest time is on the jugs for Alumilite clear slow, they say it's a 2 to 4 hour demold time. May as well just leave it in 2 hours. That way you don't really have to question yourself, you'll be good to go. All right, so let me wipe off my stick here. There's a little bit of resin left over in there. 450 is maybe a little bit too much, but it was fine for this. Dominic's here. What's up, man? I know the pretty blue mats got completely just jacked when I did the micarta. Oh, man. That's okay. All right, so I was just checking to see what you guys were talking about. So the last one that we're going to do today, we're going to do another one of these bricks, the pen blank bricks. And I thought it'd be kind of fun to, one of the things, and I actually have to go get the other material. One of the things that I really like doing with this honeycomb is making, I like to call them super hybrids. I know, it's pretty radical. I like to put some of this chunks of dye stabilized wood. Problem is we just kind of emptied out my bin of dye stabilized goodies. Let me make sure that I have Tim, So typically I would take a chunk like this and I would kind of round it, but I think we'll be okay. These will turn out okay. Here's one. This is what I usually like to do with this stuff. I think we'll have enough. So what we're going to do is we're going to mix some of these little dye stabilized chunks and then throw in some chunks of honeycomb. And you can kind of like bend these guys and do all kinds of different stuff, whatever you want. So I thought that'd be kind of fun. We'll do some super hybrids and we'll make a batch of pen blanks of them. And I don't know. It should be pretty fun. I'm throwing chunks. I'm throwing chunks everywhere, guys. Oh man. Oh, there's a good one. There's a good piece. Let's see here. What else have I got? I'm gonna switch over to the overhead view here, so you guys can kind of see what I'm doing with my. That'll work okay. Check out my chunks, guys. Check them out. Ooh, there's a good one. All right, so I'm going to grab this, yeah, this guy too. All right, so I've made my selection of chunks. And we'll just kind of toss them in the thing randomly. I have a couple of these size things. We're just going to toss those guys in random. The piece that's kind of coming off, so got a couple of them. Then we got a couple of these, so we'll just have to see where they fit. I'm going to actually toss these into the oven, all of these things, just to kind of warm them up, make sure everything's good to go. Okay. Warm them up. If anybody would like to, I'm gonna put a little timer. I'm gonna take some time here so that we can get moving. I got to run over to my parents' house. My mom just had, I think it was cataract surgery today, or yesterday, one of these days. I wanted to run by and say hi to her, make sure everything's good to go. So we'll kind of hurry up. So I'm going to put a time. It's 4:43 according to my clock up there. 4:44 it just turned to. So we're going to wait till 4:50 by my clock, and then I'm going to pick colors. So if anybody wants to get in on colors for these guys, go ahead and super chat. Otherwise, I'm going to pick a bunch of colors, and we'll get crazy with it. It'll be fun. So let's see. Is anybody doing anything? Billy Burt, what's up, man? How you feeling? Tim's 3/4 asleep. Oh no. Well, have a good night. Thanks for joining the fun. Hey, Randy, thank you. I appreciate it. If you're talking to me anyway, I appreciate it. You might have been talking to someone else. Doug's got some pretty nice videos too. Lots of other people in the chat. All right, I don't think I'm missing any questions. Just wanted to make sure. You are talking to me. Thank you, Randy. I appreciate it. Oh no, it crashed. No fun. Joe, the honeycomb is for casting. We're just shoving it in there and it makes some pretty cool turning blanks. I don't know if I have any honeycomb. One of the ones, so you guys know my graffiti style blanks, right? They actually started out as a honeycomb thing. I would just kind of cast those and then shove honeycomb down in. I think I have one of the originals somewhere in here. I do have a couple honeycomb blanks that I can show you guys. But I used to have one of the original, my original Honeycomb graffiti blanks somewhere in here. I had a little baggie of them. It's got to be in this other little pen thing. I got boxes of like just random, oh, here we go. Random pen blanks. And wants a pink and a neon green. Sweet. Thank you guys for super chatting. I appreciate it. Okay, so let's get the overhead going. So this was, and this one's kind of an older blank, but this is what I was making right at first. And I would toss in some honeycomb in there, and then I would do like the kind of little swirly stuff. These were like the original graffiti blanks. Then I learned the technique that I show you guys from Chad. That technique rocks with those molds. And then so now, you know, I just make, these are two of the blanks that I sell. This is the Cosmic Disco, and this one's the Clowning Around. Just, you know, a few colors in there. Throw some honeycomb in it, and it's a pretty rockin' blank. Everybody really likes those ones. So you can do all kinds of stuff with honeycomb. We made a platter. Carl Jacobson came down here once and stopped by, and we cast some platter blanks. So he turned one of those, and I turned one also. I made one and actually gave that to my mom. So there's lots of stuff. Lots of stuff. And so while we're kind of waiting, again, I'm going to wait till 4:50, and then I'm going to cut off super chats and color picking, and I'm just going to, we'll see where we're at basically with the colors that we have, and then we'll go for it. But what was I going to say? Oh, I wanted to mention while we're waiting, don't forget, guys, if you're a patron, this Friday is going to be the first Friday hangout. And so Ann just showed up. We're going to be doing the Easter pastas that she sent. And so this time we're going to do it a little bit differently than we did last time. We just threw the stuff into the blanks pretty much, and you know, saw how they worked out. I came up with a couple of different ideas that might be kind of fun, and hopefully what we'll get is like pen blanks that the pastas are visible. Basically, they're not just kind of jumbled, and who knows if we'll actually see it once it's turned. So it should be kind of fun, and there's also some other projects that I thought of that we could do using that pasta that will definitely leave it intact, basically. So it's 4:49. Let me get a drink of water. We got 1 minute left, and then I'm going to close it down. Sounds like we got pink from Ann. We got neon green. We got cobalt blue. That'll be pretty sweet. I actually think that might be a good, like, I don't think I'm going to add anything to that. Shop Dog's in the house. How's it going? All right, so we got, let's see, it's 4:49. It should change any minute now, literally. So, and while we're sitting here waiting, turn to 4:50, but I'll throw a link up again, and there's one down in the show notes, but that's to the honeycomb that I sell. And so that's what we're using when all of the stuff in this video, that pertains to the stuff that I sell. Other people are selling it. I have no clue how you prepare it or do anything like that, or if it's good, you know, frankly, I'd imagine it's fine, but I don't know what brand they're selling, you know, so I don't know. Make sure if you're buying honeycomb from someone else or whoever you're buying it from, make sure that you're kind of following their recommended guidelines, because some of them may be different, you know, and I just want to make sure that you guys know. Got to deal with a skunk. Oh no. Hold your nose, man. Hold your nose. All right, so we got everything in the oven. We got that. So we got pink, neon green, and cobalt blue. So Ann, what kind of pink do you want? Did you want to go with like fluorescent pink, Alumilite dye? Do you want, we got a couple pinks here. We got bubblegum pink, and I thought they came out with a new pink. Fine. Okay, so I guess we got bubblegum pink. And then we also have all of our mica powders. We got dusty rose, we got fuchsia pink, baby girl pink, red, rose red. Let's see here, anything else? So, yeah. So whatever, let me know if you want, if any of those sound good, Anne. And then neon green. So again, the choices that we have, and we could go with a pearl powder. We got like apple green, pearl powder. We've got fluorescent green dye from Alumilite. This stuff is going to be pretty transparent, like a translucent. And then once again, we got our key lime by Divine. So those, I think, are our neon kind of green things. Neon pink. And then cobalt blue, I know what that is. We got that right here. That's a master's choice color. We don't have a lot of it in here. I think I have another one, yeah. I got another one, don't worry, guys. Yeah, so, and that's why we were doing it today. I thought it'd be a good idea to do some honeycomb because I actually I used to sell, I have 3 sizes that I sell. I have a 2-inch piece, and that's a 1/4-inch cell. And then I have a 1/8 and a 1/4-inch cell that used to be 3/4-inch thick, but I didn't really like, I mean, you're barely thick enough for like a pen blank. Most pen blanks are 3/4-inch. And I didn't like it, but it was a little bit of a cheaper option. And I thought that the next level up was going to be like an inch thick. And so I actually found out that you can buy 7/8, which I think is like the perfect thickness. So both sizes are now 7/8 thick, and I got everything in stock. Jeff wants pearl. Okay, so we're going with a Pearl X apple green. That's one of my favorite kind of pearly greens. So now, having said that, let's go with, and I will say that either I think this fuchsia, because Anne said let's go with a kind of a neon. Fuchsia is a pretty kind of neon-y color, pink, but also rose red. I mean, this is like, woo, bah. That's a pretty neon-y pink too. So if you want to go with the pearls, I would say one of those two is the best way to go. It is the way. Well, if you want a big piece, I don't sell big pieces of it. I call it full sheets, but it's not like they send me a full sheet. I just buy that quantity. If you needed like a gigantic amount of it, you know, maybe one of the other sellers out there, I don't know who all sells it, but maybe one of the other sellers has it. Otherwise, I'd say just contact the manufacturer and check them out. What I sell, I guess one thing that I should probably that I haven't shown you guys, they're 5-inch by 8-inch sheets that I sell. So each size, and then I also have a variety. I call it the variety pack, and it's got, I want to say 4 by 6 pieces, something like that. But so you get a reasonably big size piece, I guess. But it just depends on how big you're talking. So that's 5-inch by 8-inch is what I sell, and like I said, three different sizes. So you can check that out on the website. I'm excited about the new size because you know I make these blanks too, and it just didn't like 3/4-inch. All right, so let's go with, we got cobalt blue. Let's go with the rose red. I really like that color. That's a good one. We'll go with rose red. Okay, so here we go. We're rocking and rolling. Let me get the overhead going. Oh, wrong camera view. Where did I put that thing? You know, you guys can imagine it. 5x8 sheet. Here we go. There it is. This is the 1/4" cell one. So it's now 7/8 thick. And I have other videos, you know, if you search around on my YouTube channel, I have some videos about how to cut it the right way, you know, like safely, how to prepare it and do all that kind of stuff. Because I've already kind of done that. And I did explain it in pretty good detail at the beginning, but I also have shorter videos if you just want to search my channel and check those things out. So number 3, casting. Number 3, like I said, I kind of call this my super hybrid. I don't know. That's what I call it, super, because it's got hybrid, you know, it's got wood, but it's super because it has aluminum honeycomb in it. And so once again, we're going to use the Alumilite Clear Slow Set. We're going to go with the 6 blank mold is what I call that. The 5" by 6" square. And slow set, Alumilite Slow Set Clear. Or Clear Slow, I guess is what they call it now. So 540 grams. We got 3 colors. It's going to be awesome. The 540 divided by 3. So that's going to be 180 grams in each cup. And we got Apple Green by Pearl-Ex. We got Cobalt Blue. And we got Rose Red. Put a 1/4 teaspoon of each color in. That'll be good. I think I kind of overdid it on the first batch. We really probably could have got away with 1/8 teaspoon. But yeah, so that's it. That's all we got. Okay. Let me switch it to the work view too. That one, okay. And what am I doing? Let me get a big cup out. I don't have any clean ones, so I'm just going to use... I just buy like a big box of like 100 of these paint mixing cups on Amazon. It's just... I go through enough of them that buying them one at a time is just kind of silly. But depending on how much casting you do, you can just go down to the hardware store and, you know, you can get these things in the paint mixing or in the paint section. And like the Home Depot ones are pretty good. They're nice and soft. They pop off material quite easy. All right, so we need 270 grams of Part A. And again, we're using Alumilite Clear Slow. It's measured by weight. Other resins, some of them may be by volume, some are by weight. Just make sure you know how you're supposed to be measuring, you know, the resin that you're using, that you bought. And even if you think you know, make sure to read the bottle before you even start, because often, like if you don't do it the right way, if I was to mix this by volume, the Alumilite Clear Slow, it wouldn't set up right. It'd be messed up. So make sure, I went a little bit over, so I'm actually going to take a little bit out of here. But make sure you know what you're doing, and you know, because there's a lot of products that sound the same that really aren't. All right, so Alumilite Clear Slow, 1:1 by weight. So we got 270 in there. We need 270 of Part B. $260. What just happened? It wasn't too. 268, 269, 270. There we go, 270. This nice and mixed up. So again, the difference in viscosity between Amazing Clear Cast and you know, Clear Slow is night and day, kind of. I mean, that stuff was like molasses. One thing I don't love about it, but it does have its purposes and uses, the Amazing Clear Cast, but I definitely prefer Clear Slow for most, about 85% of what I do. It just seems to work the best. Plus, I'm impatient, and this stuff is ready to go out of the pressure pot in a couple hours, where most epoxies overnight. Not fun. For me, anyway. Some people, that may not really affect them. All right, so that is mixed up. Let's get our cups here. Got a couple extra cups. I'm just going to kind of eyeball this. I'm going to measure one. We need 180 grams in here. Just dividing it by 3, basically. That's about 180-ish. There we go. 180 on the dot. And then I'm just going to eyeball this and say, okay, get it kind of close. That looks about even-ish. Maybe that much. There we go. So we got our 3 cups. Go with some cobalt. So we need a 1/4 teaspoon of each one of these guys. So cobalt blue. I'm just going to wipe this thing off, basically. Spoon. Cobalt blue and one. We had plenty of cobalt blue. Here's our pink. And the green. These are going to be fun. Okay. Get us some stir sticks going. What turns better? I don't think it really matters. I haven't noticed any major differences. I mean, the 1/8 inch is, there's going to be more metal, basically. You know, it's going to be tighter, so there's going to be more pieces of metal in there. But I don't know if that's, I don't think it really makes that much difference. I don't know. Like I said, I haven't noticed any major differences. That's a good question, though. So again, I like to pour my resins. You know, if you're doing like color swirl, typically you would wait till the end. But in this case, I don't want to wait till the resin's, you know, thick. So it's kind of a balancing act when you're doing multicolor stuff, trying to keep the colors separated yet not have this thick stuff, because you're better off letting it kind of flow into that honeycomb structure, you know what I mean? So I'm gonna probably pour this. I would usually pour these like if I was just doing color swirl pen blanks, I'd probably, with the temperature in my shop right now and everything and the resin I'm using, I would probably pour it at about like 97 degrees when you know, using the infrared thermometer gun. When the resin in the cup is about 97, I would be like, okay, it's time to pour our colors. Everything's going to stay separated. In this case, I'm going to go down to like 93, and it's going to be a little bit thinner, which, you know, it can bleed a little bit more when you pour it at a lower temperature like that, and it's thinner, but it's also going to work better and get into the honeycomb stuff better. Small crevices and things. Whenever you're doing something that's got small crevices and stuff like that, where you want the resin to flow into, then you're better off doing it a little bit earlier if you can. So that the resin will flow around, get into those little crevices and not cause air pockets and things. Okay, so we're at 89 degrees right now, so we're getting close. Need to buy eggs. Yeah. Easter is a coming. Okay, I'm gonna toss this into my thing here. Put my books away. $90.5. We're getting close, guys. Getting close. So let's get these things kind of set up so you can see what's happening here. We are going to be sticking wood in here. I didn't think about that, so we might have a little extra resin. But that's okay. No big deal. Left over, never hurt anybody. Take the temp, either 92.5, close enough. So again, I'm going to pour my resin in first, and then I'm going to put all my chunks of stuff down into it. Okay, so we got our stuff. Let's see here. We're just gonna, and I'm just gonna kind of randomly toss the chunks in. I gotta remember where those things are though. So, and you can kind of bend the honeycomb you want. You want to get it too tight, the cells, you know. I'm gonna do this. One here, one there. I'm going to put one of these in. And here's some cool stuff. You can kind of put them sideways. Have it like going a little bit different way. Chunk there. We got a chunk there. Like we got a chunk there. So I think I've kind of filled everything up here. I think that's all I got, guys, so we'll just save these ones for later. Maybe stick. There we go. I stuck that guy in there. All right, so that's all we got, right? So I just wanted to make sure that I'm not trapping air in these cells. Push it down in and the air will come out. The resin will force it out. But these things should be pretty wicked. I just love all these random chunks, and when we cut these things up, we're going to have all kinds of craziness going on in here. A pretty fun way to go. It's one of my favorites to make. All right, so let's get this in the pressure pot. And once again, we used Alumilite Clear Slow. So this one would be ready in a couple hours to pull out. I usually wait overnight before I cut up the pen blanks made with slow set clear. It's a little bit harder, especially when you've embedded stuff in there. Not a bad idea to give it a little bit more time to kind of firm up a little bit. So I can cut them into pen blanks, and then you can turn them probably next day if you wanted to, but I would recommend waiting till the full cure for any resin to get the best polish, because it's gonna, over time, it's gonna harden up more and more and more until it reaches full cure. Means it's reached its full hardness, right? So to get the best polish, you want it as hard as it can get. So, you can turn things earlier, but if you want to get the keenest, the glossiest polish, then you want to wait until the end of that working time. Most resins are 5 to 7 days to get to full cure. That can kind of change sometimes if you're pouring super tiny amounts of resin. If you poured a big, giant lump of it, then it may be actually accelerated. But in general, for most of the things that we do that you're probably seeing, you can expect about a 5 to 7 day full cure schedule to get to that, hardened point. If you're going to be putting a finish over it, it doesn't really make any difference, right? So at that point, it doesn't matter. It's the polishing that you want that hardness to get to the max. You want to reach the max hardness to get the best polish on that resin. So Jake's here. What's up, dude? How's it going, man? We just finished up. Sorry about that. Just wrapped everything up, but we did some fun stuff with the honeycomb. Actually, someone said, what do you do with honeycomb? If you want to see a killer project, totally not what you would probably imagine for one. I'm going to go and find your link, Jake, right now. Hopefully that'll hold on. I got a great video for you guys to go check out. There it is. I don't know if this is the first one or the second one. Yeah, I think this might be the first one. So anyway, if you guys want to see a ripping use of honeycomb, go and check this out. There it is. And I'll try and link on the screen after this thing gets uploaded. That is a killer, and there's so much good going on in this video. How many views do you have? It makes me angry how few. He only has 7,300 views on this video. It should be 73 million, because this is like one of the best produced videos. It's one of the coolest projects I've ever seen. It blows half the other stuff that people are doing out of the water. So make sure you go and check this out, because Jake rocked this along with Al over at Al's Hack Shack. There's good acting stuff and production and laid out, but it's also a really fun maker project. So go check it out. Go and find it. Wolverine, yeah, that'd be a good one. Wolverine resin art. So anyway, so I think that's about it, guys. We did 3 things. So Jake just kind of showed up. We did like the amber color, kind of like for a handle type thing, in the big deep honeycomb. We did just shoving a big chunk into one of my big pen blank things. And did a bunch of crazy colors, and then this final one we just did was the super hybrid, I like to call it, where you have wood chunks, like the dye stabilized stuff, and then some little random chunks of honeycomb. And so we had about 3 colors in there. So it was pretty fun tonight. Pretty cool. So don't forget, guys, I sell all 3 sizes. I have the 1/8 inch cell, the 1/4 inch cell. Both of those for pen blanks is 7/8 inch, and that's new. It used to be 3/4 inch, which wasn't ideal. It wasn't that ideal. So I went back, contacted the manufacturer, and figured out I can get 7/8, which works perfect for pen blanks, I've found. And then I have the 2-inch thick with the 1/4-inch cell. All right, so all that stuff's available. And then I also have a thing called a variety pack that has like smaller chunks of each one of those to, if you just want to kind of play around and see which one you like. And again, all of the kind of tips and all that kind of stuff, that really, most of it is definitely from the stuff that I sell. Other people may be selling Honeycomb. It may or may not work. I don't know. And I don't know that my, what I do to prepare mine, I don't know if it's the same manufacturer, and they definitely are not the same. Different manufacturers, when I did testing, this was the one that worked the best out of the ones that I tried. So there's obviously differences. So I'm not sure that acetone soaking to clean it off is going to work for other ones, So just make sure you understand the difference between that. You don't want to just assume that they all work the same, because they don't, I don't think. So anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed, playing around. A big thank you to all the super chats, and especially, man, how much was it? My mouse isn't working. It was, Joel dropped $19.99. That is so generous. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much, Joel. But to everybody that super chatted and picked some colors, I really appreciate that. For patrons, don't forget this Friday we're going to be casting more of the pasta, but it's the Easter pasta. And I have some ideas. It's going to be a little different than what we did before with the underwater sea creature guys. These things have like little eggs and bunnies, and there might even be ducks. I don't know. But there's pretty cool shapes. And I thought of some other ideas, ways to cast this stuff for pen blanks that should definitely net us being able to see that piece when it's finished. And then I have another project that I thought would be kind of fun, totally different, not a turning type thing. So Friday for patrons. And if you want to join the Patreon family, do so over at patreon.com/nvwoodworks. And then you'll get access to all the extra content and get access to these monthly. We do a monthly live demo. And so we're doing those pasta blanks this Friday. And then the second half of it is just me answering questions for resin casting stuff or whatever it may be. But I'm totally focused on, I just literally stop the demo, we're done. And I just, for however long it takes, I just answer questions. So if you're looking for some kind of little bit of help with resin casting, or if you have some questions, some ideas that you just want to bounce off with the crew, that is a good place to do it. So you can do so, like I said, if you join Patreon, and you're helping out the show. So it's kind of fun. So anyway, guys, I hope you have a wonderful evening. Let me just make sure I'm not missing anything before we close it down. Hope you have a great Easter for those of you who are celebrating it. Thanks. So, gotta go eat. Yeah, I know. So I'm going to run over to my mom's house. Make sure that she just had I think cataract surgery. Not a big one or anything, but I'll tell you what, if somebody was like, oh yeah, we're going to cut into your eye, I would be like, no thanks. So I'm going to go and make sure she's doing good. All right, so I don't think I'm seeing any questions. So again, thank you guys all for joining the fun tonight. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you get notified when I go live, as well as when videos get posted. And be looking this weekend on Sunday, I'm going to be doing the how I paint the inside of blanks video. That's going up, so be checking for that. Make sure to go and check out Jake's channel and Doug's channel and everybody else that's in the chat that's awesome and does awesome videos too. And anyway, I will see you guys all next Wednesday, 3 p.m. Pacific time, and we will do some more resin casting live. Have a good night, guys.